Hey, good evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, because my daggone Periscope account is acting up. I done did some crazy stuff. Wow, what a weekend! How's your weekend going, young lady?
It is great. My weekend was great. I relaxed. I'm ready for the week, and it was a very relaxing weekend. How was your weekend?
It was long. As you know, I worked yesterday, and that was an event because some things that I had no control over, as usual.
Yeah.
I know you have a big week coming up.
Oh yeah. Got some things going on, but I'm ready to get them going.
So tonight we're gonna talk about an interesting topic. I think that a lot of times people that are in our space, sometimes you get tired of talking about it. It's like repetitive. You always see, even on social media, you always see where dating and relationship posts are real long, and it's like a back and forth and this and that. So tonight we want to discuss, you know, really not just dating at in the age of social media or during a pandemic or whatever, but dating at a certain age. Some of the obstacles, some of the ways of going about, as we would say, trying to holler at somebody.
Hmm.
And I know when me and you discussed it,
Hmm.
you got fired up.
I did because it's very different now. Um, at this age, dating because I think that um, you've been through so many different things. So you're at that midway point. For some, they've been divorced. For some, they've never been married. You have kids involved. And then right now with the pandemic, I think what's interesting is actually that outlet. And so where before everyone was outside and they were able to go and, mix and mingle, now for those that are single, it's a challenge because they're kind of like, okay, well, you can't mix and mingle with so much. So I think that it poses some challenges right now, especially more than before. So,
One of the things I know that you definitely it,
okay.
it boiled your blood a little bit when we discussed
Uh huh.
the DMs. People going straight to your inbox, people being in inbox, and I always find that a unique situation when we talk about the DMs because from my perspective, my viewing vantage point is that certain times people only get mad at the DMs when they come from certain people,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
it's like a selecting. Like you don't have a problem when this person DM you,
Right.
or you have a problem when somebody it's an unwanted DM or I know that they may feel like a picture of a DM in a DM could be inappropriate. So I know you have a unique perspective when it comes to DMs.
So my perspective is this: you can DM me all day long. I'm probably not going to respond. That's my perspective. Some people respond, and I mean, I'm sure that they have had relationships behind it. Um, but at my age, I don't feel like, and it depends on really what is said. Because that hey and that wave doesn't work for me. It might work for somebody in their 20s, but it doesn't work for me. So I think at our age, um, it just goes back to yeah, well, I'd rather have a full conversation rather than to talk text. So it's similar to the whole DM thing. Some people respond; they've had relationships behind the whole DM thing. I just feel as though if you are going to DM someone, and everybody is not me, some people enjoy that type of attention, but I feel like if you do DM me, it should have some dialogue behind it. It shouldn't just be like the hey with the wave, or I like your pic or how you doing. It should be more behind it. I also found it interesting now that probably due to all of this, how the Facebook has like a dating, it's
A
like a
dating
Facebook
app.
dating. Yeah, a dating app. And yeah, that's a whole different spin on it too. But
I
yeah,
mean,
that
I
whole
mean, I guess when we were younger, a lot of people would be like, it was easier. You saw somebody. More people were more blunt and forward, and
right.
with when they was interested in an individual. And
Hmm.
even nowadays you always see these, you know, and sometimes on social media they always show the bad things, and you always see where a guy would try to talk to a young lady and she would say no, and then he would get angry and start
Right.
calling all types of bees and this, that, and the third, and in some instances will get literally violent. So I think
Yeah.
that it is unique within itself. How does a young man would how would he, as they say, shoot his shot? How would he? Those in the chat, I mean, join in. How if you're a female, how would you want to be approached by a man in the age of social media? Yet our intermingle is not like a lot of us really do a lot of social events. Some of us are social butterflies, but
Hmm.
then there's a bunch of us that just go to work, come home, take care of that, this, that, and third. If they have kids, if they have small kids, they may be in their kids' lives doing for like outside activities or whatever. But if you don't have kids and your kids are older out the house, where you gonna see them at?
So, what I also found interesting was in doing a little bit of research, of course, on my subject, that we're in that age where we're still taking care of our kids. Some of the kids are leaving, some of the kids are still there. And then we have additional responsibilities because now we're assisting with our parents or, our older loved ones. And so we're at that unique space in our age group. And so a lot of people have opted to do dating sites and to do apps because they're like, well, I really don't have the time to go out and to socialize. But what I also found out is that while we're the next generation that does like the dating apps and
Hmm.
things like that, the younger generation is said between 18 to 29, they use the apps more frequently and heavily than we do.
Hmm.
And I said, well, maybe the research was due to the fact that it's an age difference, and maybe, because they're so technology savvy and things like that, that's easier for them. Um, so I think that's why the younger ones actually use the apps, and that's why they do that because they're on their phone 24/7. So socialization to them is probably a little weird and awkward. But that's the age group that typically uses, the dating apps.
So during the course of me and your discussion, we're gonna talk about some hypothetical situations,
Let's go.
just in case nobody in the chat wants to tell their business, which is perfectly fine. We want to be as honest as possible.
Hmm.
But this isn't a lie. What I'm about to say, this is a hypothetical. I DM'd you.
True.
I DM'd you. And you told me why you responded, but even in your response to my DM, what made you even look at it?
So the only reason why you got a response is because you were a family friend. And we had our group initially. And so what I do is I actually look to see who the person, if they're DMing me, if they're associated with someone else. If you're not associated, or if you are, I need to know the purpose of your DM. And you should say whatever you need to say in that first couple of sentences. And please make them complete sentences because I don't do the short sentences. I don't do the short
LOLs.
words. What do they call it? Where you just kind of that bothers me. I
The
like
whole
people.
conversation be abbreviations.
Yeah, I'm like, look, it can't be a LOL, LOS. Yeah, hey, it has to be more behind it. Again, we're talking about people in our age group. So that was really the only reason because we had a mutual, you know, uh, person on social media. But if that had not been the case and you just put some random stuff up in there talking about some, hey, 9 times out of 10, I probably would have ignored it because there are several ones sitting there that say, hey, you have to have dialogue behind that, hey.
Well, I did. Well, I did in my DM. You know, I did kind of go straight to the point. I went straight in.
Right.
Said exactly what I wanted to convey to you.
Mm-hmm. You did.
I think that a lot of times people just don't know what to say, so then they'll say it. I know that one of the pushbacks that a lot of brothers say is like, I was only in her DM giving her a compliment, and she took it the wrong way.
Okay, so there are ways to give compliments. I think some women fish for attention personally. And they get it, and like you said, if it's not from the person that they actually want to get the attention from, then they don't respond. But I think that there are ways to give compliments. For instance, don't DM me and tell me I have nice lips. That's not going to work for me. It's not.
What? But I'm saying what? But if a person, for example, let's just use Facebook because Facebook is a little different than the other sites when it comes to
Hmm.
DMs. Because Facebook, if you go comment on their story or get them a compliment in a story, it automatically go up and go be considered as in Messenger or whatever. It's
Hmm.
connected. So now you seen something on the messenger, seen something up on top. You done clicked on it. Oh, nice picture. You look great. Blase this, blase that. And then, you know, depending, like I said, depending on who it is, it's always amazes me how it's perceived because sometimes I think people will entertain a person in a DM for a long time. And then if it turns out bad or um, he sends a picture that she may deem inappropriate. She may have been sending him
Yeah,
pictures. I mean, and that's a whole other set of
that's a whole nother
circumstances.
subject because that's the other thing. If you're trying to get me versus trying to have sex with me, those are two different things. Exactly. What Kenya said, a compliment shouldn't always be in a sexual nature.
So now let me ask you that because you responded to Kenya's question. What type of compliment is inappropriate and what isn't? Because a lot of times a male may say, "You look beautiful," or for example, "You look sexy." Let's just say you look sexy. Now that could be taken the wrong way.
You know what? Sexy to me. Okay, so we get ready to go there. So you brought it up. Sexy to me, you can compliment me and say, okay, well, you're sexy, but that means to me, not to everybody. Some people might be like, oh, that's cool. There's a difference between wanting to get to know me and wanting to have sex with me. Um, yeah, a lot of pictures that go up may be, you know, uh nice looking or they may be sexy. And I'm not speaking on me just in general. But yeah, like we said, a casual compliment is a decent compliment, but you don't go straight to the kill or and expect a response. You can't just say, "Oh, I like your lips," and you sexy than an MF or whatever the case may be, and expect to get a response from that. It doesn't work like that. For some women, depending on the type of women that you're seeking. Because if you're seeking certain women, hey, they might bite off of that. But if you're seeking something of quality, no, they're not gonna bite off of it. Because outside of we know that initially first is a physical attraction and that type of thing. But then after that is all kind of, out the window. What else you got for me besides I'm sexy?
I thought that it was interesting that you had said the reason why you responded to my personal inbox was because of who we know in common.
Right.
Um, let's speak about that because you get a lot of people that will send you a friend request and
Mm.
say, "Well, we know we got the same mutual friend. Let me just see, who she is, get to know."
Right.
No, and a lot of times that's how a lot of people build their following or who they follow on social media. But then after the friend request comes that first inbox.
No. I will delete and block you. You get deleted and you get blocked. Awesome BS. I mean, uh, if you're there, see, it's different if you're just like, oh, okay, it's a friend of a friend. Normally, I'll look, see the mutual friends, see what the person has to say, um, and I wait on it. But if it just gets a little bit too much, you get deleted and you get blocked. And that's just because, again, everybody's different. Some people might respond to it. And I don't really care if we have mutual friends. If I feel like you're a weirdo, and I'm just put it out, if I feel like you are strange, like maybe in some cases I'll go on the page. This is something that I found. So like I'll go on the person's page after they send me a friend request or they DM me or something like that. They got a big girl fetish. Mm-mm. You just added me because you got a big girl fetish. Like your whole line of women, you don't even have regular people on your page. You just get all big girls that are voluptuous or whatever the case. Then I say, oh, okay, no, I don't want to be a part of your broth or your harem, whatever it is you got going on your page. I'm good. I will delete and block because why am I added?
So you
And that
feel as
could be
though
your
so
thing.
you feel as though that you're a big girl, huh?
Hey, I'm fluffy. I'm not by any means no tiny woman. Never have been. But at the same, and look, a lot of people like fluffy, but I don't want you to be like that weirdo kind of thing where like that's your obsession, and then you want to put me up there with the rest of your fluffy, women that might have provocative pictures and things like that, because that's not what my social media is for.
So let's talk about, and I know you brought this up earlier. Let's talk about ghosting because this has become common where people don't even give people the common courtesy to be like, I'm not interested. You seem like a nice person, good conversation after two, three times. We might have went out two, three times, and then they just disappear off the map. And then, send you straight to voicemail, put you in the number thing where your phone don't even ring when you call them.
Right.
Um, what do-
It,
what do
it
you what's your view on ghosting? Do you think
okay.
that's appropriate at our age?
Okay, so I had an interesting conversation before the show. So I have ghosted um before. I'm a ghoster. I'm a ghoster when it gets weird though, because if we go out on the first date or something like that, and you act like we're in a full blown relationship, and you keep touching on me, or you touch my shoulder, or something, it like Kenya said, it's levels to this ghosting thing. So I've been known to ghost, but the crazy part about ghosting now is, say for instance, if they're in your contacts and you have like an iPhone or something like that. So once you ghost them, they're gone. But with social media and Facebook and everything like that, they come up in your contacts. So somebody that I ghosted came up in my friends, suggested
Friend
friends
suggestion.
list. And I was like, no, I was like, this is not okay. And I did it just because, and I probably should have given the courtesy. And I think a lot of times people, um, they don't give the courtesy, but then you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings either. Um, I feel like I don't want to hurt your feelings, but at the same time, I just can tell, and women know right away. They know right away whether or not this is going to be something that they're going to pursue or be interested in.
I call like the first 10 or 15 minutes.
I knew immediately that this wasn't going to work for me. Cool conversation leading up, everything like very good conversation, but then the meet in person was really weird, and I was like, eh. So I
But
probably, and then
but
I have a
but
three
but usually,
strikes rule.
Nikki, usually for that type of individual, you could meet somebody and they could be like an awesome person, but it could be a little awkward. Going out to dinner. You could be the type of woman that'd be like, you know what, I pay what I weigh.
Right.
He could be the type of guy that believe that a man should always pay for his date or whatever. He could be reaching and be like, damn, why she going into her? Why she reaching for her card? I'm reaching for mine. Like, should so it could be some awkwardness there. And how do
It
you know?
depends on the
Like,
person. For me, that is not awkward. We'll get to that part of the dating and dating at our age. That part isn't awkward. For me, it's a personality thing or some characteristics. Like, I was talking to this guy, and he just kept asking, do you like to take walks? Do you like to take walks? And I'm like, yeah, like, but I could not. And so finally, he was like, yeah, I just like to take walks. I'm like, okay, well, maybe at one point he was a heavy dude and he liked to exercise. But then the fact that he just kept saying walks, I'm like, dude, you don't run. Like, it just went to another place. And then I was like, I don't want to walk with this man in the park. He probably hit me in the head and dragged me behind the bush. It just got really, really weird. And so I think right away whether or not you're going to keep pursuing this whole thing. And so for me, it's like I have, like I said, I have a three strikes thing. You do something three strikes for me, I'll either ghost you or block you. And that's because I don't want to waste your time or my time. And again, with the ghosting, it's different levels to the ghosting. So I kind of got a little bit of information on this. So one type of ghosting is, say, for instance, if the only time that you interact with this person is if they hit you up. So that's
mm,
one way it goes. So like, okay, that's the first level. Like, I'm only going to be interested in you, and I'm only going to deal with you if you initiate. So if you don't initiate, you probably will never hear from me. So that's one type of ghosting. Been on the receiving end of that. So that's that. The second type is, I'm going to deal with you when I'm bored. That's that. You hit me up, I hit you up. In between, we got somebody else that's more regular that we deal with, or whatever the case may be. That's the second level of ghosting. And then the third is the final, like, okay, you never hear from me again. So I think people need to understand that when someone wants to be bothered or when they show interest, they're going to actually show interest. It's not going to be no if, ands, buts, maybe. No, I'm going to show full interest. You'll know by my actions, not so much my words. So
What about? I know that Kenya just put up if he broke, he should say that. No, we're not. We're not. We're gonna get to the guy who may not be able to afford to take you out. We was just talking about the awkwardness of the first couple of dates, but who's gonna pay for what? Who's gonna
if
done
you invite me out, you're paying. Sorry, sorry. If you invite me out, listen, my whole thing is they said all levels. I feel you, me too. My thing is this: if you, as a man, if you invite me out, my personal opinion, call it old fashioned, call it whatever you want. I'm assuming, put it this way, I almost, I'm inclined to believe that you're actually going to pay, but I do not expect it. Because of how I am, I'm going to prepare for the fact that you may not be able to do it. Now, I may not deal with you and I might ghost you afterwards, but I might keep dealing with you. Just depends on the situation. But I don't expect, I anticipate that it's a possibility that you don't. And in that case, then I can deal with the situation accordingly. But I feel like if someone invites, if it's the man, it's kind of a lead thing. So I feel like if he invites you and that's he's saying, okay, well, come on, let's go out, then he's going to pay. I've had several dates. Like I've had a date out, the guy initiated. He set up the whole date. We went to somewhere in like a jazz cafe, and I attempted to, cause me, I don't want you to think anything's gonna happen afterwards. Look, we out, we're on a date. You don't know these new age people. Old school, they might do it. New school, may not. So I put my card down too. A lot of women tell me they wouldn't put their card down. He was highly offended that I actually put it down. He was like, wait, wait. I said, hey, look, I don't even, he thought it was funny, but I was like, I don't want you to think you're going to get nothing behind this dinner because that's not what, you know. And he kind of laughed about it, but he was like, no, I'm offended because I invited you out. But you can't um, automatically assume, now you can't. I think back in the day you could. Now you can't. You can't.
You
Because the
think
game has changed.
it's funny because we always, I know, man, you always when we be talking, we be bugging out, and it'd be like we think we gonna have a 5-10 minute conversation, and then it leads to like an hour, and
Mm-hmm.
we always talk about how like yo, we you don't realize you're becoming older, as they say,
Mm-hmm.
when you going through life. So I it's interesting that you brought up the issue of back in the day. It was like you knew if a guy was taking you out, he was paying.
He was paying.
And you would think that as you gotten older, as all of us have gotten older, it would be like first-hand knowledge. But nowadays, and I did a couple shows before on this thing called Dutch. And I'm not gonna lie to nobody. Anybody that has seen the show and seen me talk about this, I didn't know what Dutch was until I was
Mm-hmm.
46 years old. I never heard of dating Dutch. I just thought it was weird.
Well, because now you got to think there are a lot of people, especially at our age, economically, everybody, you know, they're some of us are just barely making it. Some of us are very, um, but a lot of times people say Dutch. I think for the men, going Dutch is one of those things where it benefits them. I mean, because to date, I think as a man, uh, you need to have your finances in order, because that's the whole thing. You're dating, so that means you anticipate that if you invite somebody out, you're going to go out, you're going to pay X, Y, and Z. So if your finances are not in order and you attempt to go out, you need to put that out there up front. Hey, we're going Dutch. We're trying to get to know each other, or do something light. Let's meet up in a coffee shop. Let's do
You
something
know,
really light.
and that's the reason why I brought it up because my mom used to call me real tight, right? And I never considered myself tight. I was just very frugal with what I spent and how I spent my money. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious, everybody. I know my cousin King is laughing. I never knew nothing about Dutch until I became 46 years old. My grandfather was a big influence on my life, and even in the aspect of him and my grandmother, and I know my grandmother made great money. He was a man's man.
Yeah.
He took care of his family. So
Hmm.
me seeing that, I was always like, you know what, if I, when I, as I get older and going out or whatever, I just always thought this is what men do. Men
And that's
pay
how
what
I
they
was
weigh.
raised.
Yeah,
Same
men pay
thing.
what they weigh. Kenya said she was talking about the guy who always wanted to go walking. That he was the one that probably ain't had no money. Yeah, and Kenya, that's true. Have a
Mm-mm.
date budget. If you meet somebody, be willing to say, like Nikki said, let's go to the coffee shop. Well, um, for me, if I was in that scene, I would be like, you know, meet me at such and such shop. I drink coffee. Let's sit back and
It's
talk.
nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. But here's the deal too. So that goes into some of the stuff we've talked about. It's nothing wrong with getting to know someone. Um, but I think like I'm old school too. I was raised with a grandparent or a grandfather who covered all of the things. It wasn't a question as to what was going to be taken care of. Now, again, we live in a time where different, things have happened, finances and things like that. But I think you need to be transparent. You need to be transparent, and quite possibly take a break. I mean, and then in the defense,
Uh
no,
oh.
because there are
See,
some
this what she started talking about yesterday when we was on the phone,
take a
and she was
break.
going in, y'all. She started going in.
Well, no, because you need to take a break. Because if every time we go out, or something like that, I got to pull my card out or something like that, and then I feel for the men too. Okay, so going back to that, so with the men, I think men need to recognize and realize she just wants a free meal. If every time she hits you up, she just wants a free meal, and I think you should have a 2 free meal minimum. Don't even go to 3, take the 2 because that means she really don't like you like that. She gonna keep saying, "Oh, he's gonna buy me a free meal." Hey, if you like her and you interested in her and she didn't hit that 2 meals and you're not getting past that, she don't really like you. She just want to go out every time. And you have women like that. I'm not that type of woman. I'm not even gonna take your free meal after the first one if I don't like you. But there are certain women that will say, "Oh, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna get as much as you take." And men, y'all fall for it. She could be bad. She could look good, had the best body. You gonna keep taking her out for meals. She don't like you. She don't like you.
She might just be arm trophy for the date.
And you know what? That's stupidity to me. I'm not gonna keep taking nobody out for no arm trophy when you can find someone who actually is interested in you and who's not out there. And arm trophy, here's the deal with that too. When you're dating, she's arm trophy. You buying, doing all this other stuff. She got somebody else she's interested in, and if you ain't getting it, he is. So you taking somebody else's
Lola done checked it and said she will.
right. It's just so many different things to this whole dating. And I was just looking
So
at the
Lola, if he talking about let's get some crab legs and some shrimp and whatever, you all in.
I'm all in. For me, a lot of times it's about the dialogue, like what you're talking about. If you're in transition, and all of us have been in transition where some life changes have happened at this age, and you are transitioning and you're trying to change some things that may have taken place, just say I'm in transition.
You
This
you
one gonna say, no, no free dinners. I cannot.
No, but that's one of the things. I mean, you do meet a lot of brothers like that where they done got to the point like
They're tired.
they exhausted and
They're tired.
they tired of the games, and it's like, why even go through all the BS? And like,
That's why I
yo, we
said
if we going to get something to
two,
eat, she either gonna pay half the
two,
meal, or
two.
we already sleeping with each other, because it's
No,
like,
it's 2. It's a 2. You ain't gonna keep taking this, and then don't let her bring somebody with her. That is the ultimate disrespect. So men, just some heads up. If you didn't took her out 2 times and she ain't trying, she's not interested.
quick question. I'm just coming into this late, but the gentleman that always wanted to walk, was it just a way of him investing low because it was the first date? This is Cameron, the one y'all called the serial killer. LOM.
I know who it is.
Omega,
I know who it
Mr.
is.
Omega.
No,
Why did he always wanted to walk? If you don't mind, explain that, Nikki.
he just will always ask if I wanted to walk. Like, do you like to walk? And at the time I was heavy in the exercise. I was like, yeah, but like It was weird. I don't even know why he just was always asking me, did I like to walk? So finally, the upfront person that I am, I said, why do you keep asking me? Why? He's like, no, I just want to know if you want to walk. I said, you give me serial killer vibes. I said, you know, what you gonna hit me in the head and drag me in the woods? It just was weird. Maybe he wanted to invest time. I don't know. But it was
Kenya
weird.
Kenya Boss brings up a good point. She says it's no BS long as you're honest from the door.
Mhm.
But how do you be honest from the door when you're just meeting somebody because you don't want to? Not saying that you're going to keep anything from them, but basically you got to keep your, as we say, keep your guard up because you don't want to be telling people too much of your business. Next
Yeah.
thing you know,
No, and that's a lady thing. So if the ladies never take anything from me, this is the deal. I have learned, and I have a lot of male friends, and I was just talking about this earlier. I don't give up a lot of information anymore. I don't tell them um too much, like in the first look, like the likes, the dislikes. People start asking all these deep questions. Why? Especially if they're not talking back. Like you're getting all this information from me. What you like? What's your biggest this? And what's your you don't get that from me. Because what I have learned dating, because I came on the dating scene late in life, is that people will ask you all of these questions to assimilate, to just kind of get to the like, oh, I want to really get to this person, but this is not who you really are. So I like to listen now. I was just recently talking to someone and they asked me a whole bunch of questions and I paused because I remembered some things that happened over the past couple of years. So I said, he said, why you pause? I said, you keep asking all these questions. What's up with you?
mm,
Nah, you say women, men don't listen. I'm listening. I said, no, you're not. No, you're not. I said, you're trying to have me say everything so you can take notes down so that you can kind of be this person that I'm talking about, or you can do these things. So I paused. So I think communication has to go both ways. And so I can be open, I can be transparent. I need you to be open and transparent. Don't just sit there and let me talk. I need to hear some things from you. Because I think at this age, if I'm dealing with a man, he needs to be a good communicator. You need to be a good communicator.
so Kenya said you know how she starts. She said date them all. It's just an interview.
Date them
Now,
all. Date them all.
I like what Tremaine said though. He brought up an interesting point. He said, "Ain't no two." Talking about your two free dates for
Uh-huh.
money, food dates. He said, "If you dating a woman and you spend 100 plus every time you go out just to find out she ain't feeling you, then on to the next to go do the same thing."
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, I would say for a man, you take her out once. I know a guy that has his thing is once, okay? He can take you out once. If you're not feeling him or if he gets that vibe, he won't take you out twice. He has a one date minimum. Some I say two, because maybe you really can't fill her out. But I'm not going to invest in, if I'm a man, and I think sometimes that way. But if I'm a man and I take you out like twice and you acting like it ain't like, nah, we're not going back out. We're not going back out. I'm not wasting my time. And then also, like Kinga said, what I have found is a lot of women often, once they date somebody and they really like them, they get kind of stuck in that place. And I think what women should actually do is date everybody. We're talking about dating. I ain't saying sleeping with everybody, but I'm saying dating. So once you get an interest in something, because I've been guilty. Like you, oh, I really like this person. Date them all. Don't just get like, because I'm gonna tell you the one thing about a man. What she say?
She said $100. Can
Look,
you?
spending 100 on a
Yeah,
date. Yeah.
y'all know
It,
it's after 10 o'clock. Y'all, Kenya starts her stuff, so I'm just gonna let y'all know. She said if she spending 100, we screw.
we screwing. I'm spending that much money on you every single time. And I'm going out and you talking about you want a free meal from a dude? Nah. Not at this age. At this age,
Cameron said dating sure is a long interview.
no, it ain't. It's not a long interview, not at this age, because I think we've been through some things. If you're in your late 30s, 40s, you already know. It's not an interview process.
So look, I got a couple questions that just popped up on the screen, and one of them is Tremaine says something interesting. I think that Kenya and Tremaine, because they both coming from two different perspectives, a male's perspective and a woman perspective,
Mm-hmm.
Kenya feels like $100 for a date is a lot. Tremaine is like most men. He said if you dating as a man, $100 is easy
Yeah,
on a date. I mean,
it
that is
is.
easy for the men that's in the chat to spend $100 on a date. I would assume that's easy.
But
Maybe most females don't really want guys to spend that much money on a date.
I don't think it's about the amount that you spend. I think it's about the quality of the time that you're out. $100 isn't anything. That's like going to Fridays or something like that. Um, but it's about getting to know that person. I think if every time you go out and you're spending like $300, $400, $500, on a meal, that might just be something, that's that. You have to look at that. Is this person just wanting to go out, or is this person trying to get to know me?
So
Um,
My friend Cameron got a question for you, Nikki, because
what's up?
you're speaking for the women.
Hmm.
He said, "What's the benefit of dating them all from a woman's standpoint?"
From a woman's standpoint, at our age, the benefit of dating them all is getting to know them. Women typically get locked into their emotions really, really, really fast. And so you start saying, "Oh, I like this person," and I'm really feeling them, and you shut it down, especially if you've been married before or in a long-term relationship. So my advice is take some time out and date multiple people, not sleeping with them, but dating them, getting to know different types of people, because yeah, we want, certain relationships, or we want certain things, but at the same time, we will narrow it down. And then again, it goes back to us knowing, and then you'll spend all your energy and your time on this. But that's the one thing that men don't do.
Just
Men date all of them.
just
Y'all
as
date,
a excuse me for cutting you off, Nikki.
go ahead.
Just as a reset to the show, I just want everybody to know that we're speaking about dating. We want to dating, but we're really talking about dating during this era of social media, and it's a little different, I guess, because we're of a certain age now and
Hmm.
getting to know people. So I used me and Nikki's scenario. No, we're not dating.
Right,
However, how I got her to respond
right.
through the DMs. She's not a DM person. She don't answer DMs. But I sent her a DM and she responded. So this is the crux of our show. How do if somebody was interested in somebody and they had to DM, they had to go through social media, like what do they do? What do they
So,
do? So now we've drifted off into dating, which is
which is
important, and we're
cool,
definitely going to stay there.
because
But we just
once
want
you
to
get out of the DMs and you actually take them out, that's a whole nother,
exactly.
ball game. But I think when you start, going or sliding in the DMs, or you start, like it's so many. I was looking up. There's so many different dating apps, things like that. You have to, once you start doing it and you start, let me say themselves out more, because women know where to find the women they want. But men date more and they put themselves out there. Yeah, that's true. But once you're dating in this social media thing, I think, first of all, if you're on my social media page or you're looking at me, you already know for the most part my personality. Or let's say you don't, because a lot of times people's personalities really aren't their personalities on
Hmm.
social media. But
Hmm.
if you see something you're interested in, you can say, hey, I saw that you did X, Y, and Z, or I saw that you went to this place, or I saw that you went to that place, or I see that you like this, or I see the post that you put up and it was real intriguing because it, hit me on a spiritual level. These are things that you can actually say outside of, you got some sexy lips.
But what about for the guy that he doesn't even really use social media? He comes on social media. Oh, she's a nice looking young lady. He hit her up, but he's always busy. He always working, taking care of his responsibilities, or whatever. After the habitual, and I know about for everybody in the chat, I have a few sisters, quite a few, and I know about the habitual inboxers, the ones that say hi, good morning, beautiful, for like 10 straight days,
Don't
but
get
don't
me
say
started
nothing
on
else. So
that.
I
Please
know
don't get me
about that.
started on that.
So what about the guy who just wants to say that because he don't want to be too forward or seem too extra, as we would say?
I don't want that kind of guy. That was from the previous show. That's them betas. I know that's them deltas and them gamers. I don't want that kind of guy. Like, really? I
Yeah,
mean,
and Lola speaks about it because as a man and has a bunch of sisters, it is sometimes you may perceive the guy to be annoying, but he's just really means good morning, have a good day. It could just be his way of showing interest, but without coming off too forward. Because now we're gonna speak about something else. One thing that a lot of women do, if the woman is not interested, all of a sudden she don't put the label on the dude. He's thirsty.
I don't think he say he's thirsty. I don't think. I just think they can friend zone him. It ain't that he
No, no,
necessarily
no,
thirsty.
no, no. Females got a big thing talking about. Oh, he
It's a lot of
thirsty,
thirsty
and
women
then
too.
it'd be a bunch of guys that may see a couple females that they're interested in, and then you know how the women do? They do the screenshots, and then they be like, "Was he in your inbox? He was in my inbox," and
Well, then that means he's a habitual person that just goes through everybody's inbox. That's something totally different. And you can kind of peek those individuals. We're talking about somebody, like if you jump in my inbox, I really need for you to have some detailed things. Like, why you jump? Like, it's weird. What are you trying to get me to, like, what are you trying to get to know? Are you trying to get to know me or you want to hook up? It's weird.
see, I'm
It's
I'm laughing.
weird.
I'm laughing that we having this conversation. And you decided you wanted to talk about this because of how we met. It's how we met formally. We had
But
already,
again,
seen each other, but
you come in my inbox, you say these different things to me. You need to have something behind it. It can't just be a hey, how are you? Sexy, nice lips. Nah, not at this age. No. I mean, I got because for real, you haven't even grabbed my attention. You're not gonna hold my attention
see,
if you do that.
Like Tremaine says, and I can kind of identify a lot with what he's saying. Is this is the new way of what they say shooting their shot.
Shoot it, but you better come hard. Don't come with no light stuff. It's okay. Shoot it. But if you're really, really interested, not just trying to hook up, but if you're really interested, come hard. Like you gotta, hey, I noticed your pictures I seen, da 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 da. Come with some extra stuff behind it. Shoot your shot all day. You know how many women get told on a regular that they're attractive? That ain't nothing to a certain type of woman. But what are you going to do that's going to hold their attention? Women get told that all the time, you know. But what do you do? That's like with a man. You know how much, for lack of, because we on whatever. You know how much vagina? I'm going to use vagina. Vagina is like real boring, but I'm going to use vagina. You know how much vagina a man gets thrown at him? What else you got besides vagina?
And,
Really?
and I know you spoke about that yesterday when we was talking.
Yeah.
Where it comes a lot of times where a person just need that break. Like just be single for a minute. I mean, give
Take your time.
give yourself some time. And you started yeah, as I said, you started really going in. You started talking about send that kid to counseling.
Yeah,
You know,
take your time. Like a lot of times people want these relationships. You want to jump into these. It's so many other things that we could just kind of focus on and wait on. And you jumping in somebody's DM. You
you,
jumping in somebody's DM, you trying to get to know them. You might have just got out of a marriage. You might have just got out of a relationship. Take a break. Take a break. Figure out the things you like by yourself. Figure out the things you want to do by yourself. You immediately jumping in the inbox all of a sudden now because you ain't in your relationship and you can't be by yourself. Now you're not even really interested. You just, in my inbox because you're bored. Then after you get bored and go back to whatever it was, now you're gonna ghost me. It's just so many. Just I think people need to be intentional when they start doing things. Don't just I'm bored. You know, okay. Moving forward to this whole dating on social media thing. This is
Tremaine
what I
said. Tremaine said he got too much to say. He can't type all.
he can't type real fast. I said type it real fast. Um, the one thing that I thought was interesting dating on social media, and like all between all of the apps and everything that I wrote down. One of the things that they said is when you're on social media or you're on these apps, the likelihood of the relationships. However, if you come correct and you're not just in my inbox saying I got sexy lips and you ain't just want to hit like if you come correct, the likelihood of an online relationship lasting is way higher than meeting someone in person. So
Mm.
I did realize, like, the people that meet on, like, I don't know about Plenty of Fish, but it says right now, Tinder and Hinge and those ones, they're at the top of the list. And the reason why is because you're actually getting to know someone. You're not in person. So they said, so these relationships actually last longer. So it's nothing wrong with meeting someone and that we're meeting them in DM. I think if that works for you, that works for you. Me, I'm not gonna go out. I'm not really a social person. People think that I am. I'm not really an extrovert. You can see me in public and I probably won't speak. That's me.
Well, let's I'm glad you brought them statistics up. Like speaking about when they do work or when they do you do get to know people, they do seem to be lasting.
They do.
Why do you think that is? If
I
you
think statistically, when you get to meet someone online and you're talking to that person in that type of way, you're getting to know the core of what not the Christian mingle though. I mean, I personally, if that's what somebody wants to do, knock it out. I figure you got to find, um, yeah, she said POF. You got to actually find something that you have a common ground on. And I think that you weed out all the BS when you actually do like the dating sites or when you actually start asking those questions. Because a lot of times people hook up and it's a physical thing. And so when it's physical, you know, once you finish, like I said, every woman has a vagina. And once you figure out that it's just about sex, then you feel like she can't talk her way out of paper bag. Like she's just dumb as, whatever. So once you connect on these different apps and these different social sites, you get to have some type of dialogue with the person.
like I told y'all when we do shows and we appreciate Kenya's support and we appreciate Kenya's feedback. But I just want y'all to know I personally have never met Kenya yet. And Kenya knows how to come with her stuff. It's the mingling of those Christians talking about the Christian site. Kenya, stop, stop,
But look, you gotta have a
stop.
common ground. You gotta have
No,
a common
but
ground.
but even Nicole brought up the Christian mingle. But let's
It's
talk
true.
about that. Like that's the one thing. And even when you spoke about ghosting, we ain't got flip phones no more, y'all. I,
But
I
that
need
that
everybody.
whole
I need
it's
everybody to understand that smartphones are smart for a reason. And when you like Nikki said, when you ghost somebody, you don't ghost them on Instagram because they was in your inbox, but now they don't popped up on your TikTok feed.
it's
And
what
don't put their phone number in your phone because once you
because
put
it
their phone number in your phone, it's all. Then you might get alert from Facebook that they in your
that
area.
this person is a suggested friend. So that's the whole thing. It's like, do you tell somebody when you ghost them why you like? Do you give them a heads up? Like,
I
look,
think you should. I think you
well, I
owe
have
that.
a girlfriend, and she says that. She says right before she's about to cut someone off, she will go down the line and let them know for the next person in the next relationship, I am cutting you off because you chew with your mouth open. You gave me a VHS set when I have a DVD player. Like she will go down the line. And I think that that's a wonderful thing, but I guess that gives the person a heads up for the next relationship.
But
But I'm
then
just
sometimes, Nikki, that could be too much energy. You could be like, man, I'm not giving that person
yeah.
that much space. Because the minute I start talking to them, they start whining on the phone, talk about why we don't really know each other yet, and yada 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 yada.
But the way she says it is, she says, I want the person, I might not be the person for them, but moving forward, if they are trying to figure out how come their relationships aren't lasting, that she wants them to understand why that they're not lasting. She wants them to understand. And she said she does that because it makes that person better. You get what I'm saying? So
Oh,
me
she
personally,
giving out counseling at the
no,
end.
I think it's a good thing. She can do that. She will let that person know. But I personally
She giving exit strategy advice.
no, but I heard on the radio station, and I can't remember what it was on the radio station. They said they feel like you should give that person the advice moving forward. They think that you should give that person. I don't. Yeah, she said they all get married afterwards. I but that's because if you give that person something to work on and you say, okay, well, these are the things that I didn't like, and the radio host and the radio show, they said that was a good thing. They said to give that person the reasons why, because they may not even know, like chewing with their mouth open is like a thing. Because I've dated somebody and went out on a date and felt like that, like, but they say if you give these people tips, like that helps. They don't really recommend ghosting.
What about this one? And this is a key one. This happens quite often. The friend of a friend.
Woo.
Woo.
Ugh.
Um,
So
I don't. Me personally, and before you start, Nikki, I don't really like this situation because I feel like you're in the middle of a hookup that you didn't sign up for.
but I don't think okay, so here's the deal with the friend of the friend. I've been the friend of the friend. I don't think that the hookup itself is actually a bad thing. Like if they say, okay, well, I know this person, whatever. I think that when it goes sour, as it sometimes might,
Keep talking, Nikki.
um, so she being high mighty with her opinion. But what doesn't work for her may not work. Right. So it's this is my opinion. So my thing is like the friend of the friend. Um, I feel like that if you're that actual friend that oh God, it's so many things popping up on the screen. I feel like if you're the actual friend of a friend, if you're that middle friend that knows, or I just think that you shouldn't involve the friend that knows both friends.
Wait,
It's
wait,
hard.
wait. That's where the problem comes in.
Yeah, it's hard.
Because the middle friend usually is the friend that don't know nothing about nothing until shit hit the fan. Then when they find out, it's like you don't feel betrayal. You feel like you should have gave me the heads up. I could have told you, old boy was cuckoo.
But I think you can stay
excuse
out
me,
of it.
I don't want to come off as no hater, but I'm being honest when I say this that a lot of times, um, you don't want to know, but you want to know because you kind of like to
I
me,
don't
if,
want to
if
know.
if I was in that situation and I met somebody through somebody else, and man, I was interested in that person. Me myself, I would ask the middle person because I need to know some character about that person.
But
Feel the
that
same.
puts the middle person in such a hard place.
That's what you want to be in the hard place because if the middle person cares about you and cares about them, they may tell you, "No, it's not a good mix." I had a situation
But you
before.
can tell the person no, it's not a good mix, but they can do it anyway.
Listen, I had a situation before where I was in that situation, and the middle person was like, "Don't do it. It's not a good mix." And I did it, and and, and it was semi because we hard headed sometimes. It was a semi disaster.
But
Now
you
as I've
could
gotten
tell the
older,
person. The one thing I know from me personally, I've had people tell me don't do certain things. I've told people don't do certain. People gonna do what they want to do. People gonna do what they want to do. They
but
don't
then
listen. Like Sheree said, they don't listen.
so
I've
how
been
did
that person that didn't listen.
yeah. So we've both been that person that didn't listen. So would you advise if you were the middle person? Don't you feel like yo, you should have told me? Like I could tell
They
you,
can
like
tell you're not gonna listen because you're gonna do what you want to do.
you will
We
listen. I'm telling you,
mm-mm.
Nikki. At a certain age, I really believe at a certain age, you'll listen now. I mean, I think that at a certain age we didn't listen and we just run straight through that yellow light, like zoom. You like the light turning yellow and you just press heavy on
So
the gas
okay,
pedal.
let me give you an example. All right. So you saying, all right, you meet a person through a person, they say, hey, look, don't do it. Cause I know this person, I know the history, I know blah 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 blah. And you say, and they say, I know blah 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 blah. All right, they start messing with each other. Let's say they have amazing sex, right? So the sex is everything, but like it's some other things going on. And so you're caught up now on this physical part of it, but It does, so the person told you, no, 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 no. You still doing what you want to do. The person has already forewarned you. They've already given you insight that this may or may not be good for you. They've already told you, but now you're caught up.
But what about if you're the person in the middle, Nikki? Right?
I think it's
You know,
unfair to
and
bring the
and I'm
person in the
and
middle.
those in the chat, I know I sound like I'm justifying, but I'm being honest. If you're I've been the middle person. Some situations I didn't know about until after the fact.
Right,
Some situations I knew about when they happened, right? And I've always told one situation, right? I told two people I was close with both of them. Right? I said, don't do it. Now I told them that as individually, and I told them that when they were around each other. So then when stuff started getting bad, nobody came to me when stuff started getting bad because I told you so. I mean, I asked, you know what I mean? Like, I felt as though that I was trying to save both of them from each other. And in the long run, um, they did what they wanted to do, like you said, but I spoke my piece. I believe that if you are interested in someone that may be closer to a mutual friend than you, you should ask them. You should be like, Nikki, look, hypothetical, Nikki, what's up with such and such? And I have no problem. Like for me, and y'all, we what we try to do on the show is talk about how me and Nikki intermingle with each other. Before I inboxed her, I asked about her.
right.
And it was the inbox led to really, really the recommendations, everything was perfect. What the purpose of me and Nikki's relationship. And when I inboxed Nikki, I was very forward with what I had to say and what I wanted to say, and it wasn't no hidden
Yeah, but
agenda.
I think that's different. In this situation, it was different. But
I mean, even if it would have been like on a push up or dating type of thing, I don't think that the mutual friend or well, I know how I am, but I don't think the mutual friend would have said anything different. They would have said exactly what they said.
I have found not to give advice. I've had some hookups that have lasted, and then I've had some hookups that have not lasted. Me personally, I don't give advice. Meaning I'm not going to get in the middle of it. Like if you do it, it's on you. And the reason why I do that is because things could go several ways. It could go good, it could go bad. If I am on the middle part of it and I care about both parties, I don't want to have that be an issue. So I will typically say, let me out of it. Um, because it gets messy. It gets real messy. Um,
I'm like Julia, man. Them references is everything.
they are, and then sometimes the references are really great. Then other times they're not.
The
And
references
when
be
they're
on
not,
point. If you look for the subject matter of not speed dating, social media dating, and then it'd be like the friend of the friend, them references is life saving because you'll be like, yo, you could have told me about this bozo or this bum or whatever word you use. You could have been like, yo, you could have told me. Or you could have been like, yo, why you ain't ask me? I could have told you that what like for example, you could say, well, somebody's a nice guy or a nice female, but they're just not for you. You
yeah.
could kind of know the person's personality and be like, yeah, I don't think that person is for you.
Social
And
media
that,
gets funny anyway because when you get on social media, everybody has like this different thing. Like I said, some people might think that I'm like an extrovert. Some people might think that I'm like really a people person, but I can get real awkward. I can get really weird depending on who I'm around. And the people that really, really know me know I will act weird. I um I have a way about me. Um yeah. And like Celeste said, I just stay out of it. Because they're grown. And then that person, I have been the person that I've had to learn. But
and Julia just brings up a good point. That happens a lot. You don't want to be caught up thinking that the friend of your friend is good because your friend is. That happens a lot. You'd be like, yo,
yeah,
I got a friend, they super dope, they good people. I'm a you know, I think their friend might be just like them, but they might be
that's a
off
really
limits.
good.
So let me
Yep. that's a really good point that she just made, because just because you're friends with that person doesn't mean they have the same values, the same lifestyle. You could just be friends with, they could just be friends, but just because they're friends doesn't mean they think the same things. You know, hey, it doesn't
Hey,
mean that you,
I sent you the link, Keisha. If you want to join in, you're more than welcome
yeah.
to join in, Keisha.
But I
Um,
don't think, and that's the thing. Like, I think it's like what Celeste said. After a certain point, people are grown. And I think, especially for me, now, had you called me 10 years ago, I ain't had no business. So I probably would have been
so,
all up
so,
in
so
it.
let me ask you a question.
Now I don't care.
Let me ask you a question. And we me and you is we talk like we've been knowing each other for years. The inbox that I sent you, it had key words in there, right?
Hmm.
Had it not had what I said, exactly what I wanted from you, you would never responded.
Nope. That's me though. I know people that respond, but they respond because it's something that they might be interested in. I personally don't respond right now. The place that I'm at, I have other things that I'm trying to do. So if you're not coming with something that's going to intrigue, what intrigue me, or kind of spark my interest, you just saying hey or blah 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 blah, that's not going to catch my attention. Again, we're talking about the 40 something year old me. We're not talking about the 30 something year old me. We're not talking about the 20 something year old me. So I am at a different place. I'm at a different place than I was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. So if you're going to on social media, because right now, since the quarantine, I think a lot of people have realized that they may or may not want to be in a relationship. Some people that are in relationships in the quarantine realize they hate the person that they live with, and
Shots
they might,
fired.
like it's so much going on.
One of the things that I know that that got you riled up um when we were talking about this yesterday was so many people come and they have these qualifications for dating, and you kind of was like, you want a man or a female to have all this and bring all this to the table, but you don't have half of what you want someone
Hmm.
else to have.
And speaking on that, I can speak on this. So probably about a year or so ago, 2 years ago, I would be like, oh, I want X, Y, and Z. And after different trials and blah 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 blah, I said, well, let me just take a break. You know, um, I know women who say, and I typically am one of those women. It shouldn't matter what the woman is bringing
That's
to the
me.
table. It should just be, it shouldn't matter what the woman's bringing to the table. Actually, it should be, because the man should already have his things in order. I know women, I've said that before. Me personally, I just had this conversation earlier. I took a break and I took a pause because I need to get some things in order. I think a lot of times people say, oh, I'm on a date and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But I personally don't want to be a liability. I don't want to get with anybody who's a liability. So I feel like now, since I'm getting my things in order, and I was talking to my girlfriend on Saturday, I was bragging about some stuff that's coming in order. I personally think that I need to take that break and get my things in order, because I can't personally require and request certain things if I'm a liability also. You know what I'm saying? So I think and dating, and it's not for everybody. I just don't want to at this stage. If you would have called me 20, 30 years ago, I mean 20 at 20 and 30, then it would have been totally different.
Celeste, I
No,
think
that's not what I'm saying. I'm
I
saying that,
think I can speak
yeah.
to that. Me and Nikki were having this conversation yesterday, and she voiced her perspective, and I thought was very unique. This is what really why we decided to have this type of show. There's somebody today in the group, or yesterday, last night, brought up the same situation, and I think this is where, in my opinion, I think this is where a lot of us at our age are going wrong. Your degree, your house, your car, what you got is great and is good for
Hmm.
you. A man don't care about that
Mm-mm.
unless you want a boy toy, unless you
Hmm.
want a man who you want to treat as your son.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. A man, in my opinion, is not going to want to care about what she got, and a woman should not care about. A woman should
Right.
not care about what he got. She should be. We should be worried about the quality of the individual,
Mm-hmm.
how they treat themselves, how they treat people, how they treat family, and then be
Right.
that as it may on other issues. But you could, for example, I've been in situations where I met people that made great money, but they were the worst of managers of that money. So it
Mm-hmm.
didn't make a difference whether they had a great job making all this money or whatever. They were bad managers of money. Then I've had people that have been in situations where they were just getting by, but the quality of the individual was on point. And I think that's one of the major, major problems that, yeah, I know people that will, oh, I'm not dating a guy unless he got life insurance, he got a
Mm-hmm.
great 401k, he got this, he got that. That's what he got.
Right.
That's not what you got.
Right.
If you got that, great. That's why I said what you got is great for you.
Right.
But you worrying about him having his stuff together, and you wasn't saying just what you wanted, Nikki. But so many people are so worried about the person that they're presenting themselves to have their stuff together that they don't even have their stuff together.
Right. And so that's what I think that she's misunderstanding what I'm saying. Had you called me a year or so ago, I would have been that person. My whole thing is for me, I personally, at this place that I'm in, I want to have my things in order. I'm not so much concerned about what they have because I want to be an asset. I don't want to be a liability coming in dating at this age. So my thing is let me have my things in order. Let me take that pause, let me take that break and get my things together. I don't want a man that's looking at me for those things, but let's just say that we decide to start a business. Let's just say we decide to purchase some things. If my stuff isn't in order, you know, and how is it going to work? Like he can't put my name on it. He can't do that. So for me, and I'm saying this is my personal opinion. For me, I want to have my things in order because there are certain things that I'm going to expect or certain things that I want. So sometimes we have to do a reevaluation. So for me personally, now you called me a year or two ago, and I might have been a little bit different, but that growth says, nah, I'm gonna take a pause. I'm gonna take a break because I don't want somebody to get with me and be like, oh, she's like the best thing ever. And then boom, we try to go get something together and my credit score is 400. You can't do nothing with that. You can't.
And so
Hey,
then another thing is that we've been under this myth that success means certain uh physical things. Some people don't believe in home ownership. Some people
right.
just be like, you know
And
what,
that's fine.
I'm never gonna buy a house. And then you have those of us that may have our parents may still be alive, and they be like, my mother lived with me. Now I know it's funny that a lot of women may. I've seen a lot of women on social media, and what this is where Nikki, like you brought up, a lot of people get on social media and be doing a lot of caping because they'll say that they want this, want this, want this, want this, but then they fall for Bubba. So I say that to say, oh, I'll never deal with a man that lived with his mother. He probably don't even live with his mother. He probably taking care of her. She might be of an older age. She might need help
But
with
if you
everything,
like
just getting
somebody, why does
around.
any of that matter though? Like if you really like
It
somebody, if you're interested in them and you're interested in having a relationship, I think that's a problem too. Like if you like somebody and that works for you, that works for you. If he's taking care of his parents or if he's taking care of his mom or whatever, I think for some people it work. I think as individuals we have to say what works best for us. Um, and just know what we like and what our standards are, what we want to deal with, what we don't. I mean,
And then you
I'm
may have that standard where you want an individual that's on top of his, as we would say, on top of his game, got his own business. Um, I think that a lot of times some people aren't prepared to deal with that individual because that individual don't have time like that. If he's got his own business, definitely during this pandemic, he may be thriving, but he's working hard. He's working
But it
hard to
goes back to
maintain.
taking time out to say, right now, I'm not gonna date. I'm gonna focus on me, and then come back to dating more. And then jump on plenty of fish. Then, yeah, laying up with a bum. Like you laying up with a bum, you didn't purchase all the stuff and whatever, but you pretending. I mean, if that's the life people want to live, that's the life they want to live. Me personally, I know when my stuff is raggedy. Everybody can't admit when their stuff is raggedy. I think that when your stuff is raggedy, you take that time out. You take that time out to reevaluate. Once you take that time out to reevaluate, then yeah, maybe you want to start dating again. But until then, I think a lot of times people are codependent. They jump into these relationships, um, not really. And
Speak on that because we discussed that the
codependency.
other day.
Like I've been
And-
guilty
and-
of it.
and-
Like
and-
I know I've been at some point. So you jump into these relationships. The first person that says something to you, you bite on it. Instead of just saying, let me just take some time and just say, okay, I don't want to be in anything. I just want to figure out who I am and what I'm doing. I can honestly say that I've been through every phase, and some people just can't be without people. They don't like to be by themselves. And I think that that's good if that works for you. Um, Me personally, I have valued the time that I've been by myself, that I haven't been dealing with anybody. Everybody can't do that. And I think that that creates a problem too, because you jump from one person to another person to another person. And I remember this lady told me, she said, you need to just take some time out. You don't need to be in a relationship. And I was like, psh, she just this and that. But she was really giving me some wisdom and some jewels. Sometimes you just got to take that pause. It's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to take the time, so that when you do get those inboxes, or when you do get those DMs or whatever, you can sift through them. You're not desperate. You're not pressed. You're saying, okay, I can sift through them and say, just because this person is complimenting me on this, I'm not so desperate and pressed that I got to bite on everything that the person says to me. So if you are good being where you're at, then just because someone says something, you're not just going to take the first thing that somebody throws to you. You're not codependent. You're not just going to latch onto it. And I don't think it's anything wrong with taking that time out, especially when it comes to dating. So.
Well, we're going to take a break for a second as I promote one of our shows that we do every Tuesday night, the Poetry Quarter, because I need to stretch my legs for a second.
Really?
Tuesday night is the Poetry Corner. The same usual thing every Tuesday. We do this. We got a great show tonight. A lot of poets here tonight. Packed house, which is a good thing. So we're going to get the party started off right. Yeah, that's once again, that's the Poetry Corner. We do that show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. That is my cousin King Atterbury's baby, and the Poetry Corner. Actually, I think we've been doing the Poetry Corner for one calendar year already, and we've had a great time doing that. Great poets, and there a lot of the poets are authors. Very good poetry on there every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. So Kenya said being alone allows you to heal.
It does. It does. I think that when you're alone by yourself, you're in your own thoughts, you know your likes, you know your dislikes. You know what went wrong in the last situation. You take you reevaluate some things.
Kenya,
And I think it's okay.
Look, I said Kenya. Nikki, let me ask you a question. Do you think that a lot of us can admit that we're suffering from codependency?
I think a lot of people don't. No, I don't. I think a lot of people don't. I wasn't one of those people. If you would have called me about a year or so ago, or a couple months back, no. Most people don't even know that they're being codependent. They don't understand that. A lot of people think other people complete them, or they really feel like they need to be in a relationship.
And it's interesting because Keisha actually brought up interesting article about that. Like so many people or stay in marriages and not be happy, and then after the marriage be like, I should have been left or whatever. And we're not speaking on marriages per se, but even with relationships, and you'll go into a relationship for security purposes and
Mm-hmm.
not because you feel in the individual that you're in a relationship with.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a deeper subject right there. A lot of people are in relationships for security. Um they yeah, most like she said, most people don't know who they are. Um I think it's scary when you just like for me personally, I was married 20 plus years twice combined. So you're talking about somebody that had been in a relationship from the time they were 17 until 40. So it is a scary thing to be dating or be by yourself. However, it's a beautiful thing because you get to learn who you are as a person, your likes, your dislikes. Um, and you also learn a lot about yourself if you're willing to do that. A lot of people aren't willing to sit. I had a discussion last night, I believe, with someone, and they were saying that a lot of people are scared to just be by themselves. And
It's funny because in one of the shows that me and Julia do in Crown Rules, I think now looking at the movie Waiting to Exhale 30 years later makes me
mhm,
look at it different. And it speaks about, a lot of you always hear that a lot of women in their 40s, whenever they, as they say, got that first divorce, been with this guy since they was kids, and then boom, now she's gotta get herself together, so to say. Or she finds out that she feels as though that she sacrificed her whole life for that man.
mhm.
So
I,
now
I
it's
can
more.
honestly say I made a post probably about a year or two ago, and I said, "Boom! Wow! I have officially been all four women on Waiting to Exhale." I made this post like
Mm,
a year or two ago, and I think that um, you know, everybody's life path is not that of, maybe self discovery or whatever. But I can speak on being married, being divorced, being in different types of relationships. Are not perfect, but I can say this whole dating thing. Going back to that, it's about at our age being transparent, knowing what you like. Personally, I tell people up front, I've been married twice, so I can honestly say I might be okay with you having your own place and I have my own place. Some people might not be okay with that. Hey, I can flat out say, as long as I can have a key, I might be okay with that. I can also tell you at this age and at this stage, I really don't care about, I mean, and that might be why I'm single still to this day. When I get home, I don't care about what you want to eat. None of that. I don't care.
Julia said these days we are free to enter into relationships for fulfillment. Not necessarily men and women got to know their why.
Yeah. Then why? Why?
Many somebody on Facebook, I don't know who it is, that in order for me to know who's commenting on Facebook, you have to give StreamYard the clearance to use your name. But I will read your question. It says many are in relationships to occupy space because they are afraid to have an empty space.
Yeah. That bed warmer. It's a lot of bed warmers. I mean, you don't even like the person. You roll over, look at them. It's some bed warmers. You roll over,
Well, can you
uh,
can you mention about the roommate thing earlier? That
yeah.
some people realized during the pandemic that, oh, I've been roommates with this person. I don't even know
This
who this
whole
person
time.
is.
Yeah. That was one of my biggest things too. I was saying, when you're in a marriage, if you're not intimate, you're roommates with this individual, like y'all ain't even dealing with each other like that. But you're basically roommates. So me at this stage, for me, I would rather do the work and be by myself than to have a space filler or a bed warmer because but for a lot of people, that's scary. It's scary. It's a scary thing to say. Oh, and look, I know people that flat out say, "I just want to split bills. I just need that. Look, somebody to do the bills, or they paying out." for some people they don't want to.
You,
I can.
you think that would be too transparent for somebody to go to their alleged mate to be like, look, we done fell out of love with each other. This was going on. This be your portion of the house. This be my portion of the house,
That don't
and
work.
we just be roommates.
That don't work. That don't work. It does not work. You can say what you want to say. That does not work. But for some people, it might, depending on how big that house is. You know, and I think it just depends on people's values, because some people value love, then some people value things. And so if you value things and you value materialistic things, then you can be in some BS like that. For me, I can't. But there are some people, you
No, but
know.
then you gotta do what works for you, I guess.
Yeah, everybody has to do what works for them. I just think at this whole place that we're at with this dating, I think one of the more important things, once you get past this whole match, POF, and all these other things, the transparency of it, no, and just cutting things off from the jump. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. I have a 3 strike rule. If we didn't even touch on blocking, because once I get to that whole 3 strikes, you after that third strike, you get blocked. Like, I don't want to entertain it anymore. I think that again, women, we give more chances, and I think with the dating also, from the jump, if this isn't, but you make excuses for it. Um so I think that people are scared again to do the self work. um the dating apps make it easy. um Social media is weird
What about
because
this one? What about this one that me and Keisha speak about a lot? Me and Keisha speak about this often. Me and you have never talked about this. At our age, women don't have a lot to choose. It's slim
yeah,
pickings. It's slim pickings. So, do you think with a lot of women that know that, for lack of better words, and I hate to use this word, but I can't think of another word. So, do you think that desperation
that's
makes,
settling.
yeah,
Yeah, they might. They might, but I'm gonna be very honest and transparent with you again. Yeah, at this age, you might have to settle for some things, or you can be a cougar. I mean, you can go backwards. You don't even have to, like, you don't even have to settle. You go in your age group, you can go backwards. I always say, and I just said this last year, I'm at the age where I can date the daddy or the son. So it's one of those things. You could go backwards. You don't necessarily have to, I don't believe that you have to settle. But I do believe that the pickings are slim, but we're also at the age where people are starting to get divorces, that people are becoming single again. I think that limiting your thoughts and limiting what you feel, like that puts limitations on you. Um, no one's gonna be perfect at this age. I think people need to understand that people have had families, they have had homes, they have had children. I think no one's perfect. I think people need to understand that about dating. But um, yeah, no, this the pickings might be slim, but you got to broaden your horizons. It doesn't mean that you have to. If you just stick with one thing and whatever, then yeah, you're gonna have your limit. You're gonna be limited. But
so if that if anybody in the chat has any final questions they want to ask Nikki on the subject that we're talking about, you're more than welcome to ask now. Nikki, do you have any final thoughts on the conversation? I know that it's kind of late, and
I
I know you have a
yeah.
we both have big weeks ahead of us.
No, I was just sitting up here thinking about this because we were talking about dating, like within social media and all of the things with the quarantine and stuff. There were a couple of things I was gonna say. If you really want like honest feedback and things like that, one of the things people need to stop doing is putting damn filters. Stop with the filters, like the filters and being hatfished. At least the people know when they meet you and they see you, that you really look like what you look like. That's one thing that people need to stop doing. Stop putting all the goddamn filters on. So now you look like a plastic face, and then they see you in public, and they're like, she don't even look like what she looked like online. So you didn't throw the whole person completely off. For men, take your hat off. We want to know if we're being hatfished or not. If you got a George Jefferson hairline, it's okay. If you still wearing it and you choose not to cut your hair off, that's your business. Take the hat off in the pictures. Don't hatfish people. Um, I just think that again,
Oh,
yeah, that whole clear like that. I think
listen.
there are a lot of things about dating at this age, and be honest with yourself. If you're okay with certain things, then you're okay with certain things. But and I think people have to do what works well for them. But
Yeah.
don't expect perfection. I think that's the bigger thing. At this age, once you've been through some things, you shouldn't expect perfection. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with having standards. And having your list. And I always tell people, have your three strikes, and you have your top things that you want to deal with, and that you will not, your absolute no's, and check it
Well,
off.
for those in the chat, you guys know what time it is. Remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Really, we appreciate you guys tonight, and remember that you know, one of the best ways to support is basically word of mouth. And know that be safe out there. I know that that storm, that hurricane. I know New Orleans has no power as we speak, and this and Ida is definitely making her way up the East Coast. So whatever
Mm.
you do, be safe. Take your precautions. Do what you need to do so no harm comes your way. And we appreciate you guys in the chat tonight for joining us. I know the show is kind of late and everybody got stuff to do this week, so hopefully this week during your work week you reach all your goals. And we appreciate you guys as usual. And have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's